What if I told you that the most powerful act of self-love isn't a bubble bath or a spa day? What if the deepest healing comes not from what we receive, but from what we give? Welcome to the season of self-love. I am Nyomi. In this November, we're exploring something radical. How giving back to others is the ultimate act of loving yourself. Let's breathe into it together. Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast, the season of healing intentionally. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am so glad that you are here. This season, we are slowing down to go deeper. Every Monday and Wednesday, we're creating a space of intentional healing, authentic conversations, and the kind of self-love that transforms from the inside out. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself intentionally is the foundation of true transformation. So whether you're on your own journey of rebirth, navigating life transitions, or simply choosing yourself, this is your safe space. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's heal together intentionally, because you deserve to embrace that beautiful person that you are. Now let's get started. All right, my beautiful people, welcome. But before we dive in, I want you all to get comfortable. So if you are driving, I want you just to let my voice be the background, all right? But if you can, I want you just to find a moment to be still. All right, if you can just close your eyes at this moment, at this time. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it for a moment. And release it slowly through your mouth. Let's do that again. Let's breathe in, hold, and out. Now place your hand on your heart. Feel the warmth there. Feel the steady rhythm of your heartbeat. This is your life force. This is your energy. This is your love. Now with each breath, I want you to imagine a golden light beginning to glow in your heart space. It's warm. It's radiant. Is uniquely yours. Now breathe in. I want you to breathe in and I want you to watch the light grow brighter. And when you breathe out, I want you to breathe out and I want you to feel it expand beyond the boundaries of your body. This golden light, this is your love. This is your energy. This is your gift to the world. And here's what's so beautiful. As you imagine this light touching the lives of others, your children, your partner, your friends, strangers you haven't even met yet, notice something powerful. Notice how giving doesn't diminish your light. How giving doesn't drain you or make you smaller. It multiplies it. The more you share, the brighter you become. Now with this next breath in, I want you to breathe in abundance. You are a vessel of infinite love. And when you breathe out, I want you to breathe out generosity, because you have more than enough to share. Now I want you to feel this truth that's settling in your bones. You are full. You are enough. And from this fullness, not from obligation, not from guilt, not from lack, but from this overflow that you serve. Now I want you to take one more deep breath in. And as you exhale, I want you to gently open your eyes. All right, my beautiful people, well, welcome back. I know this is a new format that we are trying out this Monday. First of all, let me say happy Monday to my beautiful souls here. And again, welcome back to the season of self-love. And it is Mindset Monday, and we are definitely kicking off November with our Giving Back series. And again, this is a new format that I'm trying out right now. And y'all let me know in the comments or, in the DMs, and let me know how y'all feeling this. And if you're new here to the season of self-love, we do a nice grounded meditation before we get deep into the topic at hand. But again, this is Mindset Monday. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and we are kicking off November with our Giving Back series. And listen, I know that you might be thinking, Nyomi, I came here for self-love. Why are we talking about giving to others? I want y'all to stick with me because what I've learned on my own journey and what I want to share with you all today is that true self-love isn't just about what we do for ourselves. It is about recognizing that we are a part of something bigger, something divine, and that our healing is meant to be shared. So let me take a moment. Let's take a quick break, all right? It's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back.
Washington Wellness Institute focuses on healing always. For me, if I look good, then I feel good. If I feel good, then I share the good. If I share the good, then I celebrate the good. If I celebrate the good, then I live the good. So I can be paid to be my greatest. But I have to learn the good to be the good.
So, what does it take to be the greatest? It's as simple as a free 15-minute consultation. Be kind to yourself and heal always.
All right, my beautiful people, welcome back again to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks. And this month, this series is all about giving back. It's all about giving back. So one of the most important things when we're talking about self-love is when having self-love, this will help you, excuse me, because I'm getting brain fog right now. With self-love, it helps you to be able to communicate with others. But also within that communication, that comes with the giving. Does that make sense? That comes with the giving. When you have that intimate relationship with yourself and you have that healing moment and that conversations with self, and I hope I'm not running over my words, you are more open to give to others. You can see outside of yourself when you are sitting in self-love, if that makes sense. So what I want to do right now is I want to just take y'all back a moment, okay? So you know my story. I share pieces of it with you all. My journey, from the adult entertainment industry to where I am now. And just holding this space for not only women, but men as well. Holding this podcast, supporting others through, their own healing. And this didn't happen by accident. There's a moment, a divine download, if you will, where I realized that everything that I have been through, the pain, the shame, the unraveling, the rebuilding, it wasn't just for me. And I remember sitting in my healing space after my explant surgery, my chest tender, my heart even more tender, right? And feeling this overwhelming pull. It wasn't a voice exactly, but it was more like a knowing that settled deep into my spirit, like your story is someone else's survival guide. Listen to what I'm saying. Your story is someone else's survival guide. I remember speaking these words to several different of my family members that have been through a lot of trauma in their lives, and they're still here. It's one thing that I say a lot is I say that, one gift that God does give us is he gives us the opportunity to do the day over. He gives us an opportunity to use our pain as purpose. There's a reason why we are still on this earth to this day, and that's really to serve one another. I remember going through this healing process in this journey, and I can go back 10 years ago and truly not understanding what was my purpose and why. I can say, I used to give advice to everybody when I was younger, such and such and such. I knew I wanted to change the world, but how was I to do that when I went through the path that I went through? So when I thought about doing, Ask Nyomi and going into the season of self-love, at first I was resistant. I was very resistant because I thought, who am I helping? How am I to help anyone? Because in that moment, I was still healing. I was still trying to figure things out. But that's the thing about service. You don't have to be fully healed to help someone else. Sometimes the most powerful medicine is being a few steps ahead of the path and turn it around and say, here, let me show you the way. You see, my journey from the adult industry to this healing work in itself is an act of service. And it's been the most profound act of self-love that I could ever give myself. I know you hear me a lot when I say that I'm full. Well, this is the conversation that we have today about what does it feel like to be not only full, but to overflow. Because you see, servicing others, that is where I found my purpose. That is where I was able to refill my cup. So in sharing my story, I reclaimed it. In helping other women through their journeys, I continue my own healing. So today we're going to explore why giving back, true, authentic service is actually the ultimate act of self-love. So y'all ready to get into it? Let's get into it. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is service as a spiritual practice. I want to start reframing what service means, all right? Because many of us, especially as women, especially as a Black woman, we've been conditioned to serve from a place of depletion. I know I've watched my mother do it for many, many years. I watched my aunts, I watched my grandmothers. I watched them serve from a place of depletion. We've been taught that service means sacrifice. It's so funny. A few weeks ago, one of my good girlfriends, we were doing the Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast, and I was showcasing my new album, the soundtrack of the Rebirth. And in conversations that we had, and she was, sitting there, and she was so moved. And I know she didn't mean any disrespect for it, but she said, what you're doing, what you've done, you sacrifice yourself. And I was like, wow, I don't know if that is the word that I want to use, but when you think about history, especially when it comes to women and Black women in history, that has always been a part of our makeup, is to sacrifice ourselves to be of service of others. And that could be in us not eating, us not taking care of ourselves and making sure that other people are taken care of first, for that. And that's just giving back to others. But that giving means that we're giving up on ourselves. And that's something that I did not want to imply in that scenario, but I kind of understood what she meant by that. And that's why I want to truly reframe on what being of service of other means, So let's talk about it. This service that I'm talking about is the kind that feeds your soul instead of draining it. It is a spiritual practice. It's not about a martyrdom, that I'm just, being a martyr, martyrdom. It's about alignment with your purpose. So let me explain. So every morning when I sit at my altar, every morning, yes, I have altar practice. And if you don't, well, I'm going to talk about that in another episode. But when I sit at my altar, I light my candles, I speak my prayer, and I connect with God, the divine. And part of that practice is asking, how can I be of service today? Not how much can I do or who needs me to fix their problems, but how can I show up in alignment with my purpose and my gifts? But also what I say is I ask them to guide my steps. Guide my steps of what I'm supposed to be doing today. What am I supposed to be using my purpose and my gifts for today? And when we talk about service, when it's rooted in spiritual practice, it connects us to something that's greater than ourselves. It reminds us that we are not just individuals, beings trying to survive, that we are a part of a collective, that we are a part of a divine tapestry where every thread matters. So when I'm holding space for a woman who's about to get her implants removed, or when I answer a DM on someone who heard their story in mine, or with somebody thinking about where they just left the industry, their dental industry, and they're trying to figure out on how to be anew or how to figure it out. Or when I show up to record these podcasts, there's a prayer in action. There's a service as a worship. I know I share with you all on many occasions that I pray before I even get online. When I'm interviewing somebody, I pray that, God, to use me as a vessel, that the words that I speak and words that I say, that is of good, that is of a service of others. So when I do that, that is what is called a service of worship. That's what is called a service in action. That's what is called the prayer in action. And here's what's powerful about that, is that when service becomes a prayer, it stops feeling like an obligation and it starts feeling like a devotion. And I know I say on many occasions, I am not a pastor, I'm not a preacher, I'm not any of that. I just speak. And that's all I do. I allow God to come into me and use me as a vessel when I do that. My life and the experience that I have, I do that. I share it. It's time sometimes I shared this before, that I have everything lined up. And as soon as I will get there, it'll go away. And I'm talking about something that I just went through in that moment, in that time. How I started from here and got through that day or through that moment or through that situation. I want you to think about this. When you're doing something that is in alignment with your purpose, even when it's hard, even when it challenges you, doesn't it feed something in you? Doesn't it light you up in a way that nothing else does? So what I just share with you is that I come in here with my whole script and everything ready to go. And then it's something that say, nope, that's not even it. And then before I know it, I'm talking about a situation that I exactly went through and how I got through that. Because that is what people need to hear. People need to hear true, authentic, real situations that happen and how you got through it. How I got through it. How can I get through it? I was right there. Nyomi, actually, I'm right here now. So I echo and I mirror exactly what you're going through. And that's when I became to understand that what I do is because it is of true service. And that because of true service, it isn't about what you're doing for someone. It's about who you're being through the act of service. It's who I'm being through this act of service. It's about expressing the divine that lives in you. It's one thing that I have, and I don't want to call it so much of a challenge, but it is. I want to be real, but it is. It's a challenge that my past has been a conversation for negativity. And my prayer was that my past will be a conversation for hope, that my past will be a conversation for transformation, and that my past would not be a conversation for that my past would not be a conversation to demean anyone or to compare anyone's journey. Again, what I want my past to do is to empower, encourage, transform, help you to transform, to resonate and let you know that you are not alone in your journey. So I'm going to say this. So if you have been running yourself ragged, trying to serve everyone, and if you're exhausted from pouring out when you have nothing left, that's not service. That's self-abandonment. So when I sit here and I say my prayer on what I want my past to do, I know that I'm in service. I know I'm not abandoning myself. And I love it when I'm helping people. It feeds me something that I've never had before. Empathy, compassion, gratitude. And that's me giving from a place of purpose. And when I'm giving from a place of purpose, I'm able to share my gifts because they're meant to be shared. Those are spiritual practices. That's how we honor both ourselves and the people who we serve. So if you are giving from a place of purpose, if you are sharing your gifts because they are meant to be shared, that is a spiritual practice. And that's how you honor yourself and others in that. And it's not coming from a place of depletion. Does that make sense? All right. I hope I didn't lose y'all right there. All right. So let's go to the next one. Let's talk about the full cup philosophy. All right. Now, I remember Dr. Will. I remember hearing this from Dr. Will talking about working from a cup that overflowed. It was the saying that I used to say all the time, and I know you all heard this before from your parents, your grandparents, is that whether you see the cup half full or half empty. And I used to live by that, that analogy a lot of times. But when speaking to Dr. Willing, he told me about filling up my cup and allowing it to overflow. Kind of not even tilting it, just allowing it to overflow. That's when you know that you are truly on your healing, your self-love journey, because your cup is steady flowing and overflowing and full. So when Dr. Will would text me, say, how you feel? I feel full. I'm exhausted from other things, but my spirit and my soul feels full. And when I say feel full, also too, and I need to let people know, is that when I say I'm full, that means that I'm able to hold space for you as well. Does that make sense? All right, so I want to talk about this because I'm very passionate about the full cup philosophy. And you've heard myself as well as Dr. Will say, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? It becomes a self-care cliche at that point, right? But then there's a deep truth that's in it. There's a deep truth that's in it. And I think that we often miss it. So here's what I want you to understand. Self-care isn't selfish. Self-care is preparation for service. Hear me when I say that again. Self-care is preparation for service because it's important. It's important. And I'm going to say it one more time. Excuse me. Self-care isn't selfish. It's a preparation for service. So when I prioritize my healing, when I take the time to rest, when I say no to things that don't align with me, when I invest in my spiritual practices, I'm not being self-centered. I'm filling my cup so that when it's time to pour out, I have something substantial to give. I think about my own journey that I couldn't have supported other women through their excellent journeys if I hadn't gone through my own, right? I couldn't hold space for women healing from religious trauma if I hadn't did my own deconstruction work. I couldn't talk to you about self-love if I hadn't learned to love myself first. I couldn't talk to anybody that was coming out of the adult industry and on this healing journey to know what self-love, self-respect, all of this self-discovery mean if I hadn't went through it myself. So again, my healing journey wasn't about me. It wasn't just about me getting better. It was in preparation for me to hold space for others. Every moment of facing my shadows, every time I chose myself, that was me filling my cup. And when women reach out to me now, when they're scared and about to go through their surgery or confused about their identity or struggling with their shame, I can pour into them from a place of overflow and not from obligation or depletion. And that's a difference. That is a difference. So when you're pouring from an empty cup, service feels like sacrifice. So when my good girlfriend said that you sacrifice, I didn't feel like I was sacrificing anything. I felt like I was living the life that was chosen for me. And in that life that I lived, I feel so amazingly abundant in that experience. So you're giving what you don't have. I was giving what I had. And when you're running on fumes, I understand what that running on fumes is, but I'm no longer doing that. And eventually you'll burn out. I had those burnout stages. And you become resentful. And then you wonder why no one's pouring into you. I remember being there. But when you're pouring from a full cup, from an overflow, service feels like joy. It feels like purpose. It feels like an extension of your own abundance. So what does a full cup look like for you? Well, for me, it looks like my morning altar. It looks like saying no to opportunities that don't align with my peace. It looks like rest without guilt. It looks like investing in my own healing so I can show up powerfully for others. It looks like me having conversations and doing right here at the season of self-love. Doing this. This is a part of it. My cup being full. And your full cup might look different. And that's okay. But you need to know what fills you up. You need to know what your non-negotiables are. Because without that foundation of self-love and self-care, your service will deplete you instead of inspire you. And here's something else. Watching you fill your cup gives others permission to fill theirs too. When the women in my community see me prioritizing my healing, taking breaks when I need to, setting boundaries, they learn to do the same. That's modeling. That's teaching without preaching. That's showing people that you can be of service and take care of yourself. Those two things are an opposite. Those are team members. Those are partners. That's what that is. All right, so let's talk about ripple effect. Let's talk about those ripples, because this is where service gets really magical, really profound. One woman's healing inspires another, and that woman healing inspires another. And before you know it, you've created waves of transformation that reach far beyond what you can see. So your story as a man and your healing inspires another man to want to heal another man. Do you understand? So sharing your story, sharing your transformation, sharing that journey can reach so many different people. And I see this happening in real time in our community. whether it's a man or a woman who is listening to this podcast, when they are in their dark places. Maybe they were considering an explant surgery. Maybe they were considering deconstructing their faith. Maybe they were trying to find what self-love is to them. Maybe they were trying to find what their purpose. Maybe they even felt alone. Maybe they wanted to find how to create a solid and healthy relationship with someone else, or better yet, with themselves. And I know because I read a letter to you, but they reached out to tell me that hearing my story gave them permission to start their own healing journey. I have letters, I have DMs, I have messages that say, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. It might not look exactly like mine, but it gave them permission to look within themselves and say, okay, that kind of sound a little bit like what I'm going through. I kind of feel that. Is she talking to me? Oh, she talking to me. What I love about is some of the people who I've talked to, that some of these people are thinking about starting their own podcast. Some of these people are starting to write their own books. They are creating their own businesses centered around healing and service. So do you understand how powerful that is? I didn't just heal myself. I created a ripple. And those ripples are creating more ripples. And someone out there, there's a woman or there's a man who will be transformed by the work of someone that was inspired by me speaking my truth. Even though I never met them. That's the ripple effect. And it works in your life too. Maybe you're not hosting a podcast or building a platform, but maybe you're a person in your family who decided to break generational curses. Maybe you're a friend who always creates space for hard conversations. Or maybe you are that coworker who brings kindness into a toxic environment. You don't always see the ripples that you create. You don't always know whose life that you've touched or whose perspective that you've shifted. But trust me, they're there. See, every time you choose healing over hiding, you create a ripple. Every time you share your story, instead of keeping it locked away in shame, you create a ripple. Every time you show up authentically, vulnerably, and powerful, you create a ripple. Community creates a wave of transformation. So when we serve from a place of purpose and fullness, we become part of something so much bigger than ourselves. So your healing isn't just for you. Your growth isn't just for you. Your transformation isn't just for you. It is for your children who will inherit a healthier version of you. It is for your friends who will witness what's possible. It's for the stranger who will stumble across your story at the exact right moment. You are creating ripples. So don't ever underestimate the power of your service. So let's talk about the service that honors your journey. And I want to close out this main context today with that, because this is something that's deeply personal on how service honors your journey. You see, every struggle that you've been through, every painful moment, every dark night of the soul, every time you thought you wouldn't make it, it was a preparation. I know it's hard to hear when you're still in the thick of it. I know when you're hurting, the last thing you want to hear is, this is happening for a reason, or you use this to help someone else one day. But from where I'm standing now, I can look back at the version of myself, the version who felt trapped in the adult industry, the version who carried shame like a second skin, the version who didn't know if she would ever feel whole again. And I can say with certainty that those women wasn't suffering for nothing. I want to share this story with you before I go on. And I hope that my baby don't mind. Today, my baby, my oldest baby, is her birthday, and she will be 34 years old. And yesterday she called me and she was in tears. And she said, I just want to say thank you. And I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she said, no, she said, I've been living here in the state that she lived in for 10 years. She said, I was 24 years old with my baby in a bag, in a suitcase. And I moved to the state and I was wondering, how am I going to make it without my mama? How was I going to make it without you? She said, and it's been 10 years that I've been here. And she said, Mama, I feel so full right now. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for talking into me. I want to thank you for some of those hard conversations that you had with me. And I told her, I said, this is your moment where you need to be proud of yourself. I said, now that you've been through your healing journey, your self-love, now that pain has to be purposeful. It is time for you to share your story and be purposeful in it. So when we talk about being a service of others, when we talk about allowing why it's about self-love, because when you go through your healing journey, when you have those hard conversations with yourself, when you are looking at your reflection in the mirror, that's your preparation to be able to inspire, encourage, or motivate someone else. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? But again, my story, my daughter's story, and anyone else's story that's out there that you know that you've been through, and you understand your transformation and how you go, and you understand that now you are becoming you. And all of those things that I went through, all of that was becoming me. And I am here to serve because of who all of you are, knowing that what all of you been through, I don't know it exactly, but I know that we've all been through something. So how do we get that? So I turn my situations, my pain into purpose. That's when you serve others. That's when your pain becomes purpose, when you serve others. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that your pain happened so you could help other people. Your pain happened because we live in a complicated, sometimes broken world. And trauma isn't given to us by the universe as a gift. It's something that we survived. Now, when I say what I've been through, is a gift for me because I turn it into a gift for me. Does that make sense? I don't look at it as trauma. I don't look at it as pain. I look at it as a gift because I learned from that. Does that make sense? And I was able to survive from that. But this is important too. I want you to know, once you survived it, once you have begun to heal from it, you now have a choice. You can keep that healing to yourself, or you can use it to light the way for others. So when you choose service, when you decide that your story can be someone else's survival guide, you reclaim your pain. You give it a new meaning. You transform it from something that happened to you into something that has happened for someone else. Does that make sense? That's alchemy. That's taking your wounds and turning them into wisdom. That's honoring your journey by making sure no one else has to walk that path alone. I think about the women that I serve. I think about the men that I serve. I think about the ones that are going through explant surgery. I think about the ones that are healing from religious trauma. I think about the ones that's finding their way back to themselves after feeling lost for so long. Every single one of them helps me honor my journey. Because when I hold space for their pain, I'm honoring the pain that I once felt. When I celebrate those breakthroughs, I'm celebrating my own. When I remind them that they're not broken, I'm reminding the younger version of myself too. Serving completes the circle. It completes the circle. It gives meaning to the mess. It turns your test into a testimony. And here's something beautiful, that you don't have to have it all figured out at the start of serving. You just have to be willing to share where you are and what you've learned. Maybe your service looked like mentoring someone a few steps behind you on the path. Or maybe it's creating art that expresses your truth. Or maybe it's just simply being present for a friend who is going through what you've survived. Whether that looks like, this. When you serve from your story, you're telling the universe, my pain would not be wasted. My journey would not be meaningless. I would take what I try to break me and use it to help others break free. I'm going to say that again. This is what the universe, this is what God is telling you about your story. My pain would not be wasted. My journey would not be meaningless. I will take what I try to break me and use it to help others break free. I will take what tried to break me and use it to help others break free. That, my beautiful people, is the ultimate act of self-love. Because you're not just healing yourself, you're healing that little boy or that little girl inside of you who needed someone to show him or her the way. All right, so let's bring this home with some practical tools that you can use this week. All right. First, I want you to journal this prompt. How has someone's service to me changed my life? And I'm going to say it again. Here's the prompt. How has someone's service to me changed my life? And I want you to really sit in that question. I want you to think about a time when someone showed up for you, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Maybe it was a teacher who believed in you. Maybe it was a friend who held space for your pain. Or maybe it was a stranger whose story just gave you hope. All right, the next one. How did that service impact you? And how did it change your trajectory? And what does that teach you about the power of your own service? The next thing I want you to do, I want you to write it. I want you to reflect on it. And I want you to let yourself feel grateful for that ripple that reached you. All right, now our second action step for this week is I want you to identify one way your unique journey can serve someone else. Yes, I want you to identify one way that your unique journey can serve someone this week. Notice I said your unique journey, not what you think you should do, not what it looks good on social media, but what's authentic to you. Maybe you've overcame financial struggle. You can mentor someone on building their business. Or maybe you're healed from a toxic relationship and you can hold space for a friend, that's going through a breakup. Or maybe you've learned to set boundaries and you can model that for your children. What's one concrete way that you can be of service this week from your overflow that's not your depletion? And third, this is your reflection question. What does a full cup look like for me? That is your reflection question. What does a full cup look like for me? And this is important because if you don't know what fills you up, you keep trying to pour from an empty cup. Is it rest? Is it creativity? Is it spiritual practices? Is it therapy? Is it time into nature? Is it saying no more often? Get clear on what your full cup requires and make those things non-negotiable. Because remember, self-care isn't selfish. It's preparation for service. All right, my beautiful people. So before we close, I want to leave you all with this affirmation, okay? If you can, I want you to place one hand on your heart again, and I want you to take a deep breath in. And I want you to repeat these words with me out loud, if you're able to, or if not, just in your heart, all right? All right? I give from a place of overflow and not depletion. My service is an extension of my self-love. As I heal, I help others heal. As I rise, I lift others with me. My story has purpose. My pain has power. And my service create ripples of transformation that reach far beyond what I can see. I am full. I am enough. And I am here to serve. Now I want you to take one more deep breath in. And I want you to feel the truth of those words setting into your spirit. All right? All right, my beautiful people, I want to thank you for just being with me here today, for just showing up and being open to this conversation about service and self-love. This is just week 1 of our Giving Back series this November, and I am so excited to continue on this journey with you. We got an amazing guest coming on Wednesday, and next Monday, Mindset Monday, we are going to dive in even more deeper into practical ways that you can give back to your community. But for this week, I want you to sit with what we've talked about today. Let that marinate. I want you to journal on those prompts. Take your action steps. And most importantly, make sure that your cup is full. Now, if today's episode has resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Screenshot it, tag them. Let's create more of a ripple, effect together. So until next time, I want you to remember that your healing is never just for you. You are here to serve, and the world needs what only you can give. I love you, my beautiful people. Now go out and love yourself by loving others as well. This is the season of self-love. I am Nyomi Banks, and I will see y'all next time. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much for joining me today on this journey of intentional healing. I hope that this conversation has filled your cup and reminded you of the beautiful and worthy person that you are. I want you to remember, healing isn't about rushing. It's about showing up for yourself with love and intention, one day at a time. So I'll see you back here Monday and Wednesday for another episode of the Season of Healing Intentionally, right here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. So until then, keep choosing you. And visit us at the seasonofselflovepodcast.com for show notes and resources. And remember to connect with me on Instagram at The Real Nyomi Banks. This has been brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, because your healing matters. You are loved. You are worthy. And you are exactly where you need to be. Take care.